Welcome to KET's News Quiz. I'm your host, Kelsey Starks. Are you getting adjusted to this new school year? Well, we know a lot of you are in virtual classrooms right now, and that makes learning very different. So if you aren't familiar with News Quiz, here's a little bit about what you can expect. We'll show you 8 news stories and ask you questions about each of them. And at the end of the show, we'll give you the answers to those questions. Along the way, we'll throw in a little extra credit info, try to challenge you, and even ask for your opinions. So, we'll get right to it. We start each show with a challenge question, just like this one. What is another name for the international sport of soccer? The name we're looking for is also used by a different American sport. Soccer is known by this name in many countries, including England and Mexico. Can you think of it? What is another name for the international sport of soccer? We'll have that answer for you after the news. Well, as you are aware, we are still dealing with the effects of a worldwide pandemic. COVID-19 is the name of the dangerous virus that spread to countries all over the world and caused schools, businesses, and even governments to shut down. You had to adjust to non-traditional classes and virtual learning, and you aren't alone. Take a look. In the African nation of Nigeria, class sizes are limited to 20 students. Nigeria is a country in West Africa. It borders the countries of Cameroon and Chad and the Gulf of Guinea. There they are learning in person with social distancing, lots of hand washing, and of course wearing masks. Farther around the world, in Srinagar, India, students have dealt with the virus and political difficulties that have halted learning for over a year. Many tried to use online classes, but internet issues were widespread there. But in the past months, instructors have started using a wide open field as classrooms. Students must wear masks, but they sure are happy to get back to this alternative school. Well, another issue that has been in focus recently is racism and social justice. Recent protests and marches have brought attention to efforts that aim to ensure our laws are enforced fairly, no matter the color of your skin. Protesters are speaking out for everyone to be treated equally. The 2020 March on Washington was held in August. It marked the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. That was the setting of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous I Have a Dream speech, which focused on hope for racial equality. In this most recent march, thousands gathered near the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Marchers came from all over the country and included families who biked from nearby communities, others who even walked from other states just to take part. During the event, civil rights advocates called out violence against Black Americans. After the speeches, the march moved to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial for added reminders of the meaning behind the march. Time now for the first part of today's quiz. Are you ready? All right. Questions 1 and 2 are about the odd start to the school year. Question 1. The virus affecting schools worldwide is named A. Influenza, B. COVID-19, or C. HPV 2020. Question 2. Students meeting in person are required to wear protective A. Glasses, B. Shoes, or C. Masks. Questions 3 and 4 are about the anti-racism movement. Question 3. The protests and marches aim to bring about A. Equality, B. Fairness, or C. Both A and B. And question 4. The 2020 March on Washington commemorated a civil rights speech given by A. Martin Luther King Jr., B. Al Sharpton, or C. Rosa Parks. Back to the news. In the middle of the pandemic and racial tensions, Americans are preparing to elect a president. The election is scheduled to take place on November 3rd. The 2 largest political parties in the U.S. held national conventions this summer to name their presidential candidates. Democrats have chosen former Vice President Joseph or Joe Biden, and Mr. Biden has chosen Senator Kamala Harris of California to be his running mate. She is the first black woman and the first person of Indian descent to run on a major party's ticket. For the Republicans, the candidate is our incumbent president, Donald Trump. He has held the top office for the past 4 years. His running mate will be our current Vice President, Mike Pence. Well, there's something else we often talk about this time of year. It's hurricanes. That's because June through November is hurricane season in the United States. Hurricanes are huge storms. We sometimes think of them like tornadoes, but they are much bigger. Hurricanes form over warm ocean waters. They gather heat and energy as they rotate. When they hit land, they bring heavy rain, strong winds, and large waves. Hurricane Laura hit portions of the Gulf Coast last month. That's the area of the U.S. where states border the Gulf of Mexico. Laura was one of the strongest storms to ever hit Louisiana. Laura was considered a Category 4 hurricane because her winds whipped at nearly 150 miles per hour. Areas were battered by heavy rains, flooding, and a lot of wind damage. In India, a religious festival normally celebrated with huge parades and gatherings has been scaled down this year thanks to the coronavirus. The Ganesh festival honors the Hindu god who is considered the remover of obstacles. Ganesh is depicted with an elephant's head on a human body. Each year in Mumbai, India, the festival is like a huge street party with worshippers and communities competing with each other to display different kinds of extravagant Ganesh idols. But thanks to the 2020 restrictions, the 10-day festival is being observed at homes and in small groups. Still, Hindus around the world are asking for Ganesh's wisdom and good fortune in the year ahead. Well, good luck to you on the second part of today's quiz. Question 5 is all about the upcoming election. Republican President Donald Trump is running against Democrat A. Barack Obama, B. Joe Biden, or C. Hillary Clinton. Question 6 is pretty stormy. Strong storms that form over warm ocean waters are known as A. Hurricanes, B. Tornadoes, or C. Derechos. And question 7 is a little less festive this year. The recent Hindu festival honors the god known as A. Brahma, B. Ganesh, or C. Vishnu. Back to the news. An auction house in New York recently sold items that are truly out of this world. A collection of more than 40 meteorites were sold in an online auction. A meteorite is a solid piece of debris from an outer space object like a comet or asteroid that survives a fall through a planet's atmosphere and actually lands on the surface of a planet. These meteorites were all found in the Sahara Desert, which is located in northern Africa. One of them is from the moon. The lunar sphere, or moon rock, is described as craggy and gray. Collectors expected the moon fragment to sell for up to $500,000. Well, when you think of building models, what comes to mind? Model airplanes, model cars? Well, what about miniature houses or even an entire village? A Russian artist has put his architecture and engineering knowledge to work creating doll houses and the furnishings that go inside of them. Alexander Balashov puts actual lights and electrical fixtures into some of the houses. It's a hobby for him, but he does sell some of his tiny creations. Around the globe in England, the world's oldest model village is still surviving and offering visitors a glimpse into a 1930s world. Beaconscott Model Village was built and opened to visitors in 1929 in a small town outside of London. Humans feel like giants as they wander the pathways around the buildings, roads, train tracks, and even a model fair with moving rides. Wow. Next, these attractions are life-sized and adorable. The National Zoo in Washington, D.C. is celebrating the birth of a new panda cub. Giant pandas are native to mountain forests in China. Mama panda Mei Shang can be seen cradling her new baby on the National Zoo's panda cams. Zoo workers aren't sure yet if the cub is a boy or girl, but the creature is about the size of a stick of butter. And over in Germany, the Berlin Zoo is celebrating the first birthday of their panda twins. Pitt and Paula are the first pandas ever born in Germany. They celebrated with a birthday cake made of beetroot juice, apples, sweet potato, and of course, bamboo. And we can celebrate as we dig into the final part of today's quiz. Question 8 is worth a lot. The auctioned rocks found in the Sahara Desert are A. Meteorites, B. Sandstone, or C. Tanzanite. Think small for question 9. True or false? None of Beckenscott's models actually move. Is this statement true or false? And think fluffy for question 10. Pitt and Paula celebrated their first birthday in A. China, B. Germany, or C. America. Well, that's all of our questions about the news today, but we still have one more to ask. And for this one, we want your opinion. What are your goals for this school year? You may be focusing on your grades, books you want to read, or maybe just getting back into your school for real classes. Think about your answers and then share them with us. What are your goals for this school year? And tell us, why have you chosen those goals? You can send your opinion letters to us in a couple of different ways. Email them to us at newsquiz@ket.org, or you can use the form. It's at ket.org/newsquiz. No matter how you respond, just be sure to include your name, grade, school, and your teacher's name with your answer. We'll read some of your letters here on the show in just a couple of weeks. Now it's time to check your answers. Let's jump back to that challenge question. Football or football is another name for soccer. Yes, it sounds like the American game of football, but the two are very different. Argentinian Lionel Messi, a very popular soccer star, has played for Barcelona, a club in Spain, for almost 20 years. But he's unhappy with the team's recent performance and wants to leave. Messi's fans in Argentina would like to see him come home, but a British club has expressed interest in bringing Messi to their team. For now, though, Messi will stay with Barcelona until he can renegotiate his contract. And here are the rest of today's answers. The answer to question 1 is B. COVID-19 is the virus that has disrupted our learning and lives. The answer to question 2 is C. Masks are a requirement for most in-person classrooms. The answer to question 3 is C. Again, both A and B, equality and fairness, are part of the civil rights movement. The answer to question 4 is A. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech was commemorated at the 2020 March on Washington. The answer to question 5 is B. Joe Biden is the Democratic presidential nominee. The answer to question 6 is A. Hurricanes are strong storms that form over warm waters. The answer to question 7 is B. Ganesh is the Hindu god honored during the 10-day-long festival. The answer to question 8 is A. Meteorites were the rare items up for bid in the auction. The answer to question 9 is false. Beckenscott has numerous moving miniature models. And the answer to question 10 is B. The Berlin Zoo in Germany is where those panda cubs celebrated their first birthday. Well, before we leave today, Harry Potter fans are celebrating the reopening of the Wizarding World at the studio where the movies were shot in England. The Warner Brothers studio tour, The Making of Harry Potter, has been closed for months due to the pandemic, but the Hogwarts Express got back on track in August. The number of visitors allowed is reduced, and masks are a must. Now tourists can once again get behind-the-scenes glimpses of the magical movie sets. Plus, there's a new special feature. It's called A Celebration of Slytherin. Well, that's it for us today. We'll see you here next week for more News Quiz. Bye.